Hey guys, it's Jim Halterman from TV Guide Magazine and TVinsider.com. I'm here with the lovely Melissa Barrea. Hello, Melissa.
Hi.
So
Hi.
good to
How
talk
are
to
you?
you.
You too.
I have to say, because since I've been a big fan of the show and of yours since day one, it was so bittersweet to watch these episodes. I can't imagine what it was like for you to film these, kind of either knowing or suspecting maybe this would be the last run, but what was your experience just shooting these episodes?
We knew that it was going to be the last season before we went in to shoot. Tanya told us, like, I want to say like a month before we started shooting. So we all knew. And that kind of like puts you in a weird state of mind because
Yeah.
you don't want to say goodbye to these characters, but like you're conscious that each day is getting closer to the last day that you put their clothes on and you put their
Yeah.
skin on, and it's kind of crazy. But I feel like we uh we all as a cast made a pact to enjoy every moment, to absorb it. That's why a lot of the times when we didn't have to be on set, we were there visiting because we just
Yeah.
wanted to like make the most of this time together, because even though we're going to be in each other's lives forever, because that's just, we're family now and that's not going to stop. But when's the next time that we're all going to be working together like this?
Yeah.
We don't know.
This is a postmortem for the first episode, so assuming people have
Yeah,
seen the first episode, and if you haven't, maybe hit
go
pause
watch
and go
it.
watch it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
spoiler alert.
but the start of the season, the bar's in a good place, which might make you think everything's going to just run smoothly, but that's not the world we're in here.
Yeah, of course.
What is Lynn's kind of biggest issue, I guess, moving forward? Because the bar's in a good place, and she's in a good relationship, it seems, and
Yeah,
things. But what's coming for her beyond this
I think
episode?
Lynn is in a work mode mindset. At the end of season 2, she finally got the validation of that she wanted from her sister. That's how season 2 ends. And so she starts on a high. Like season 3, she's like, on top of the world. She is with Rudy, and that's a good relationship for her. But she's not, like, you can tell from the very first scene that they're together in bed. Like, she's on the phone talking about Vida. Like, that's where her mind is at. Her focus is like the bar right now. That's her
Yeah,
priority. And, in this show, any sweetness is short lived. So they have to have conflict. Lynn is in a relationship with Rudy, whose parents are Mexicans from Mexico. They're not Mexican Americans. They moved to the United States. They live in LA, but they, you know, for the most part of their life, they were born and raised in Mexico. And so there's this air of superiority sometimes
uh-huh.
that happens within the Latinx community of like, oh, I'm actually from Mexico. Like I'm a real Mexican. And that's what happens. That's what we see Lynn go through and be judged because she can't speak fluent Spanish. And I love that we get to see that because that's such a real thing. It happens in their
Yeah,
community. I used to do that. And it's funny that now I'm playing the character that doesn't know how to speak Spanish and that gets judged because I remember when I first moved out to LA, before we started shooting the first season of Vida, I was here for like, let's say 3-4 months. And I would meet on the street, I would meet in restaurants, I would meet Uber drivers and we'd talk and they'd be like, where are you from? And I'm like, Mexico. They're like, oh, me too. Well, my family, I was born here. And then I would start speaking Spanish and they're like, oh, well, I don't really speak it. And I'd be like,
uh,
what? That was my initial reaction because
right, right. So it's real.
I had been in Mexico for so long, and I just thought like, why are you telling me that you're Mexican if you can't speak Spanish? That was my logic,
Yeah,
and obviously Vida has opened up my worldview of like the incredible spectrum of experiences that fall within the Latinx community and how there's no one right way to be. And I feel like that's what Lynn is going through in this episode specifically when she goes to this party and she's immediately like looked down upon by all the people from Monterrey. And Tanya
yeah.
specifically wrote them from Monterrey because I'm from Monterrey. She wanted that in. So
That's awesome.
it was basically like real life Melissa judging Lynn
Okay.
in this party.
We know that Lynne and Emma's father is alive. That becomes a
Yeah.
big part of Lynn's story this season. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because Emma has a very different reaction to this. And as a viewer, you can't help but think, oh, I hope Lynne doesn't get hurt by this. But can you just talk, kind of tease where that story is at least going to go a little bit without spoiling too much?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Lynn was a daddy's girl when she was younger, and hearing that her father is alive, it's like, if just put yourself in her shoes. Like, if you think a relative of yours is dead, and then 10, 15 years later you hear that they're alive, like, would you just be like, oh, okay, great, and move on with your life? Like, no. And Lynn is never one to leave things alone, so obviously she's curious, she wants to know, she wants to go see him. And Emma's like not okay with that. Emma's usually like a go-getter, and more like, I feel like in any other part of the show in seasons 1 and 2, she would have been also the one to go and find him. But at
Yeah.
this moment, in the place that she's at, she doesn't want to. So, Lynn resorts to going behind her back.
We get to hear you sing in an episode this
A
season.
little bit, yeah,
It's
just a little
still,
bit.
it's
Yeah,
enough though, you know?
there's a lot of there's a lot of musical moments this season because the
Yeah.
bar is thriving. So
Yeah.
we got to have a lot of events and musical guests, and that's really cool to also be able to showcase our community's talent and like real artists that are up and coming or that have been
Yeah.
around for a while and maybe haven't had the exposure that they deserve. So being on the show, having them on the show is always amazing. And I get to sing with a mariachi
I
just
love
for a
it.
second. So it's
It's really
cool.
great. So when can people see Vida? When is it airing?
It airs Sunday, April 26th, and then every Sunday.
Ah,
It's 6 episodes. It's the last 6 episodes, and we're very proud of them, and we hope that you enjoy them. And I just want to thank everyone that's been on this journey with us for 3 seasons. Everyone that's like loved our characters, that has loved Lynn and supported her and rooted for her. Thank you. I think you'll be very happy with where she ends up in this last season.